And we are back. This is KPFT Houston, to make it legal, station ID. And now we have on the phone Mr. Black. Mr. Black, I don't have all your information. I believe we have you as Mr. Jason Black.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing today?
I'm glad to be speaking with you, sir.
Okay, I'm really glad you were able to hold on. And I understand you will be at the Shrine of the Black Madonna coming up.
Yes, sir. We have an event that we're holding this weekend. Our independent documentary film called Gentrified, Ethnic Cleansing American Style, will be premiering in Houston on Saturday, February 18th. And I definitely want everyone to come out and to see that, because it is directly relating to your future and whether or not you'll actually have one.
Okay. First of all, because ethnic cleansing is a pretty strong expression, what was your thought process behind that particular name, even though it likely is in fact what that is?
Well, because that is anatomically correct, is what it is. Because when you take a look at it, when we say the word gentrified, we don't actually use it in its totality. Black people, when they think about gentrified, we think about it in the traditional sense of real estate and geography. But in reality, we are being gentrified at all levels. Gentrification is defined as the displacement of a people by individuals of a higher income level. So when you take a look at us at the school level, the political level, the media level, the geographic level, and the socioeconomic and real estate level, we are being gentrified actually at all levels, and including when the police get involved. We are being militaristically gentrified as well. So the only term that applies when you are leveraging this kind of power against the people and you are including it, willing to kill them, is ethnic cleansing. There is no other term. Right.
Okay. And actually, I watched a part of I wanted to play your trailer, and maybe I'll play it after we get off. I took 2 minutes out of the trailer that you had with Dr. Claude Anderson to play, and he's been here before, and he speaks pretty strongly in that direction as well. So New Orleans in my mind, is I would say a textbook example likely of what you're talking about. Can you talk about did you go to New Orleans to see what was going on there after Katrina, of course? They basically got
in the case of New Orleans, I actually covered New Orleans in my previous documentary, 7 a.m., and explained exactly what happened there. 30 plus years ago, you had your last white mayor of New Orleans, and that was Moon Landrieu. And then after Hurricane Katrina, you had the first white mayor since Moon Landrieu, his son, Mitch Landrieu. Okay. So, it didn't even move out of the family. So if that is not concrete proof to you that you have been depowered and disinherited, I simply don't know what is. We are literally going backwards into the past where a place like New Orleans is concerned. But it's not like Houston is any safer. Now, a lot of people, especially since the Super Bowl, we got this euphoria. If I may be frank, black people like to forget. We don't want to remember unpleasant things, and we don't want to deal with the unpleasant stuff. And we love having a Super Bowl or a sporting event to make us forget about it. Well, the game is over, and guess who lost? Because it doesn't matter who wins, quote, the Super Bowl. You don't own it. You don't control it. You're not passing it down. So guess who's left out of seat when the music stops? Right. And the type of investment that you're now seeing coming into New Orleans, everything they want to do with it is catered for anybody and everybody except the majority black population that lives there. They're putting up coffee shops, boardwalks, billion-dollar construction, specifically tailored for anybody except the people who live here. Okay. That's gentrification.
Okay. Oh, are you from New Orleans by chance, or?
No, I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana, but obviously that's part of our stomping grounds in New Orleans.
Right. Exactly.
So when you talk about Metairie and Harvey and whatnot, people need to understand that the idea now is not to remake a neighborhood. Get that out of your head. It is not to remake a neighborhood. It is to remake entire cities for a specific segment of the population, so that they don't have to go door to door and remove you. The city is now no longer amicable to you. When you got Whole Foods and places like that, and then your other stores are sitting up here raising their prices or making changes to match that particular dynamic, guess who it's no longer amenable to?
Right. Well, again, we live here in Houston, and as you all know, hundreds, if not thousands of people came to Houston from New Orleans right after Katrina. And we have a lot of that going on here. I think in the documentary, somewhere you mentioned about the gentrification. I remember it here in Houston as far back as 1963. We didn't think of it as that, but our mayor, Louis Welch, at that time, basically made, I would say, a frontal attack on Freedmanstown here in Houston, where if you go downtown, physically downtown on the west side, most of the buildings you see there were at some point in the 40s and 50s, that was Freedmanstown. That was all black. Where do you see, how far back do you go as far as your research in the gentrification process? Or is it a new phenomenon?
We really go back to the very beginning. Gentrification was a term coined by Ruth Glass in the 1960s in London. So she was in London, and the term gentrification, the root word of gentrification is gentry. And that basically, it doesn't necessarily mean rich, but it does mean upper class is what it means. So usually you think when you're talking about elevation, an upper class person will try to move up above where they are. But what she found was a phenomenon where upper class people were like, well, if I got $1 million to spend, why would I spend $1 million on a house when I can go to the lower class part of town where the prices are a fifth of what I pay and go get one of their houses? And then everybody else, they're building on the fringes of where the upper class are, getting better deals. And eventually what that does is raise the property values for everyone else, changes the amenities of the area. Because when these upper class people move in, they're going to want amenities that they recognize.
Right.
So next thing you know, here come your coffee shops, your yoga studios, your upper class movie studios, your 5-star hotel. This all of a sudden you're like, well, I don't recognize the place. Well, no, they are terraforming your part of town to make it look more like theirs. And everything that they bring with them or that's invited with them, you won't be able to afford it. Next thing you know, now the property you're sitting on, you're like, well, it's great, but now it's worth 3 times what it used to be worth, and I can't even pay the property taxes. Guess what? You've just been gentrified. And along with that comes a much larger police presence to start the process of making you feel uncomfortable even where you are. Remember that as well.
Right, right. Now, one thing I did want to mention, my mom, I grew up here in 3rd Ward, Houston. Are you familiar with Houston at all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I grew up in 3rd Ward, and my parents owned 2 properties. They bought their house in 1956. And everything, we didn't have a mixture of people in the neighborhood. But what I've seen, and now you're right, quote unquote, the deconstruction of the black community, i.e. gentrification has occurred. But a lot of it looks like to me that the transition from the parents, the people that I knew as their parents, that transition has been a not good one. Either people walked away from their properties or they chose not to pay taxes. What part are black people playing in their own demise?
I'm very, very glad that you asked that question, because we've had it in our heads there's going to be a savior, either a white one or a political one or whatever. There isn't going to be a savior that is going to come and save us from our own best attempts to wipe ourselves out. When we have property, we have not taught our children that property is an asset. Every other group of people in America teach their children this. They teach their children that this is not a house. This is an institution. This is part of your inheritance. This is the only thing that will prevent other people from being able to remove you. You must take care of it, refine it, and improve its value so that you can keep it and pass it on. In black society, we've taught the value of shoes. We've taught the value of hairstyles. We've taught the value of handbags. We got folks who can sit up here and teach you the return policy at Coach and Michael Kors and every store in the mall. But when it comes to the roof over their head, of basic necessity, all of a sudden they don't know anything. Let's just be honest here. Most black people do not even know the basic process of getting a mortgage, much less going all the way through to a title to a home. Let's just be very clear. Right. So no wonder we don't have investment property. We're not even completely educated about personal property. That kind of conversation does not take place around the average black dinner table. We're talking about BET and gossip and rappers. Our entire worldview and conversation must change from the top to the bottom, because the Asians are doing it, whites are doing it, Latinos are doing it, Arabs are doing it, and guess who are the only people who are not complaining about gentrification.
Right.
Guess who?
Well, and the people that are likely more affected than many since they lived in around the downtown areas. So let me ask you this, your opinion, because we're going to kind of wrap it up a little bit. Your opinion around issues of, like I mentioned to you before, my mom owns two houses and homes down basically in the shadows of downtown, basically, and that's where I grew up. What would be your advice for those who can't make it to the movie? And you can talk about that as well, but those who can't make it to the movie, what is your advice to those people? I know what we're going to do. You know, we're going to take care of our business as a family, but those people who still own property and might be losing that property to delinquent taxes, they might be losing their property for any other reason. What kind of advice would you have to them?
Well, first of all, to the people who cannot make it to the screening in Houston, my only words to you are rest in peace. This was your last warning. Mm-hmm. To everybody else, we must understand that the basic dynamic we must accept is that all of our problems in America, every single one, is related to our socioeconomic position. Got nothing to do with people liking you. It's not, as Dr. Claude Anderson stated, it is not a social issue. It's not a political issue. It's not even an education issue. These are economic issues. Mm-hmm. They hate you because you are black, mm-hmm. but they're able to victimize you because you're poor. And what Asians, Jews, Arabs figured out was that people might not like me because I'm Jewish. They might not like me because I'm Arab. But as long as I control my economy, they won't be able to hurt me. Because they might wake up in the morning and like me, and by dinner time, they hate me. Mm-hmm. I can't control that. So I better get in a position where no matter whether they like me or hate me, because that can change in a day, they won't be able to harm me. When you own your neighborhoods, own the economy, own the real estate that your feet are standing on, you've eliminated the ability for people to hurt you. Okay. So that needs to become a normalized, everyday part of our conversation, because let's just be honest. Black people are the most targeted people in America. We need to be on top of ownership, economics, and entrepreneurship more than anybody else, because we've got more to lose than and we've lost more than anyone else. We should be on top of it more than anyone else.
Okay, that would be a nice closing statement. But let me say this: you basically, you mentioned rest in peace, but I'm imagining that a person can either view your film or purchase your film. We can't mention prices on our station, but is that available to purchase?
Yes, it will be available. It will be available on DVD here shortly in a couple of weeks. However, I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage people to come to the screenings, because you will get something at the screening that you cannot get on DVD. Mm-hmm. We're going to have real estate people there to actually sit there and talk to you and answer your questions one-on-one. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get that on DVD. We did that in New York. We're doing it in D.C. We're doing it in Houston. Mm-hmm. That's what you really need. The film motivates you, but you need somebody to sit down and talk to you.
Right, right. And again,
a bunch of people are pretending that they know this information, and they really don't.
Right. Well, no, we see it in real time here in Houston. Again, the event. Can you talk about the event and when it's going to be and what time, and they should be on time and all that?
Yes, sir. It's going to be at the Shrine of the Black Madonna here tomorrow, February 18th in Houston. So it'll be at the Shrine Cultural Center. And by the way, while you're all out there, go take your pictures in front of the billboard there. You're going to want to keep that for history's sake, as a matter of fact. It should start here about 6 o'clock, 6:30.
Oh, actually, I think I saw that billboard. I looked at that billboard. That's an actual billboard?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you wouldn't believe how much I had to go through to get that, too. That's the story in and of itself. Yes,
right.
You never thought you'd see that in your lifetime.
Nah. Right. Okay. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. But again, I hope to make it personally. So, and I hope everybody that's listening will make it out to the Shrine of Black Madonna tomorrow night. And again, we really appreciate you being on.
Oh yeah, one more thing. You want to go to our website, youwillbemoved.org. That's youwillbemoved.org to get your ticket.
Okay. That'll work. Or they can get the tickets at the door, of course. Is that correct?
We'll see about that.
No, I'm sure they're not going to turn away anybody with $1 in their hand.
Oh no, we don't do that.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, we've been speaking with Mr. Jason Black, and he has put out a movie, Gentrified, and it is timely, and it is most likely, worth your time. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.